Welcome into the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Leaf Edition, Leaf Hour. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick with you for the next 2 hours here in studio. Wherever you're watching, listening, Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. We're glad you are with us today. Guys, I'm tired. I'm tired. Last night was the first time I've done television in maybe 4 years. Yeah. Late. 10:30 Eastern puck drop. What's that? I'm 57. I'm in bed by 10.
What time were you asleep last night, do you think?
Well, I also had thinking that I had to write an article. You do this all the time, right? You write articles. I've been writing for the Toronto Star. I'm like, oh, what am I going to write about? And then I just started a little bit, and then it just wouldn't stop. And I probably didn't get to bed till about 4
Oh my
a.m.
God, Kippy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, 4 a.m.
And what time did you get up?
I had to do Sportsnet 960 Calgary with George and
Georgie?
Maddie at like 9 a.m.
Okay.
Right.
So between 4 a.m. and 9 a.m., I had this dream where people thought I broke Willie Nylander news. And I'm like,
that didn't
that's
happen.
ridiculous.
Just talking about
Ridiculous.
stuff.
Oh.
Just talking.
When?
What did Pat McAfee
When
say
did-
today? Just shooting the, you know what?
Just shooting.
Yeah, we're just shooting it.
Oh.
Okay, what's going on with Pat McAfee in that show? Like, what's the latest? Because how did Jimmy Kimmel get involved in that? I'm not derailing anything.
I
like
have
that.
no idea. But
You're
I saw
more on
some-
top of
McAfee
this.
was moonwalking backwards the 2.5 minute semi-apology today, I
I
think.
saw some wild allegations thrown around by one Aaron Rodgers on that nationally televised program. So,
And McAfee was like, don't sue us.
yes.
You can sue Aaron.
All
He's
right.
very rich.
Watchers and listeners, go on the internet and figure it all out. We're not explaining that, but what we are explaining is the fact that we had a Willie Nylander conversation that went to another level yesterday, and it even got to the point where, you know, one of the producers here says, "Well, that's why didn't you tell me that you had that?" And I'm like,
Didn't have anything.
like, what did exactly do you think that I had?
Yeah.
That
We've been all year long, we've been theorizing numbers about where it's, you know, what we're hearing behind the scenes, specifically what you're hearing behind the scenes. But yeah, this is
Well, not very many people saw it. Only 450,000 people saw it, so it's okay.
so
Barely noticed.
yeah.
and I went on to explain it that I thought this was such big breaking news on our show yesterday that I waited 35 minutes so we can go through a Samsonov waivers conversation
Yeah.
and mention it 40 minutes later.
You know, you did say that you thought that it would be wrapped up by All-Star game, which is a month from now.
No, I did not say that.
No, but you thought that
They
was
wanted it.
They wanted,
Right.
The word is that in a perfect world, the Leafs and Willie would like to go into the All-Star weekend knowing that he's got a new contract.
And then Elliot last night on television kind of backed that up with he thought it could be as soon as this week. So that probably adds a little spice to the chili.
Didn't hurt at all.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I had all these visions of like Nylander, Ohtani, like watch.
Oh my God.
I mean, are we going to now figure out where Nylander's having sushi
I don't want to talk about it.
the next few days? I mean,
Let's
like locally, it does take a life of its own here, that sort of stuff. But certainly yesterday's show was a conversation on where we think things are heading and trending. And not to get into this whole conversation about breaking news all over again. I mean, this is what we do. We talk about
Jimmy Kimmel.
We talked a little Jimmy Kimmel. No, but we believe that it's trending in this direction. I don't understand, too, why people are so bent out of shape. And the feeling I got over our comments yesterday is that, from my end, it's overwhelmingly in favor of Willie being paid upwards towards $11 million a year, more so than it ever has in the past. And there's just, for me, at least from the feedback, and I don't know, you guys can speak on where you guys think it's coming from, but they seem to be okay. The people that I talk to, either fans or people in the industry, the majority of them seem to be okay that Willie's going to make $88 million, as much as $88, $90 million in the next 8 years.
I don't think he's as good as David Pastrnak, personally. I think he's close, but I don't think he's quite as good. So if he makes about that number, the cap's going up a whole bunch. He's a young player in his prime, top 5 in scoring in the league. Yeah, he's probably worth around that. I don't think anyone's looking at it going, what a steal. I don't think anyone's saying it's a ripoff. I think there's a lot of people going, we'll see how the back end of that goes. But you do that with all 8-year contracts. So I don't know.
I'm just reading the mentions of the Sportsnet 590 The Fan tweet from yesterday, just looking through here. I think it's kind of split down the middle on people being like, well, I think it's just a sticker shock number.
I saw some people happy to see a star commit for the length of a deal.
I don't really, I think it's going to be a wow contract when it's signed, but with the cap going up and his production, and I mean, the way he looked again last night, like it's night after night here where he looks like one of the best players in the league. It's just the going rate. Unfortunately, in a contract year, it's happening. You want to keep him? Guess you got to pay.
There is a level of consistency, especially with Leaf fans, that like every guy that's signed a new contract, whether it's Marner, Matthews, Tavares, and Willie, that there's this not a knee-jerk reaction, or maybe it is a knee-jerk reaction, that it's just too much.
Yeah.
It's
that
consistent.
was Willie's first contract.
Right?
The one he's on right now that's under $7 million for 100 points, or whatever he's on pace for, 117. People yelled about that.
Like, the tendency, too, is these contracts outside of the pandemic and a flat cap is that they date themselves rather quickly, contracts.
God, the Draisaitl deal at the time, I remember being like 8.5, and like 9 minutes later, he was worth 14. So it does. That's, I think, probably the thing that I would defend Dubas the most on, is that he didn't get the chance for his contracts to age with the salary cap. The Marner and Matthews deals and the Tavares deal, which is now 6 years into it, was supposed to look like a fraction of the cap instead of what they still looked like in the first year they were signed, compared to the salary cap by percentage.
The other factor is here, again, really, what choice do the Leafs have here? What choice does Willie have? We know what he has, the choice to say no, and I'll go somewhere else. But if the Leafs are in that ballpark of $88, $90 million, there's not that money out there from another team that can only sign him to 7 years.
But you know what else, too, Kip, is okay. So the options for Willie, you're right. So if he wants to make as much money as he can, the Leafs are a far better option in terms of being able to make that additional $10 million or whatever the number ends up being in that last season, $11 million. So Willie has that choice: take all the money now or wait it out and try to get a bit more in a shorter term. The other thing is, like, for the Leafs, what their choices really are is this is a GM who has said he's not going to let the Gaudreau thing happen again, right? He has explicitly stated that. And I think if you went and tried to shop Willie Nylander around, and I think that they probably did, and went around to see just what would be out there for them for a top D-man, which everyone wants him to do, it's not there. Teams don't want to trade a top D-man for a guy they then have to give $80 million to.
Well,
so you're not going to get back for Willie. You have to sign him, is my point.
And that's,
you have to do this.
That's a general league-wide situation, is that no matter who you are, no matter how good you are, if you are getting moved as a rental, here is the rental price. Which is a first rounder and
a prospect.
depending how good you are.
Yeah, Willie might fetch more, honestly.
It's a blue chip prospect. It's a minus prospect. It's a B plus prospect.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's it. Unless you're trading him for a team that's going to sign him.
Yeah.
And now
I
it's
just
a different
don't think
ballpark.
people want to trade top end D. They don't want to trade Jacob Slavin or whoever. They don't want to do that and then have to pay Willie in Carolina, for example. So I think you kind of have to do it, is my point. And then I wanted to take that to the next logical step. Let's say the Willie thing happens. Let's say it's in the next month, as sort of we've kicked around. What does that then mean for Mitch Marner, who then is the next guy up? Next year you're looking at 4 guys making 11 schmil, and then you got to kind of decide what Mitch is worth after that.
Yeah, for me,
you can't trade.
You're not the first person to have asked me that in the last 24 hours. And the answer I give is we don't know, and it's way too premature to answer that question. You have all the time in the world, basically, to see what happens the moment you make that official commitment to Willie Nylander and what the team will look like as is with Mitch Marner. To answer your question, you need to ask the question is, what happened this year, JB? Was it another first-round loss? Was it a back-to-back second-round losses? How did they fare, all of them? How did they fare? Do they end up in a conference final? Does Mitch Marner put himself in a position to be one of 4 teams vying for a Stanley Cup playoff? Was he in the conversation of a Conn Smythe at that point? How does that change your perspective on what to do with Mitch Marner?
There's no world where they would say, we can't have 4 guys making this much money. We couldn't trade Willie because his contract was expiring, but Mitch has another year. Maybe we can get a top D for Mitch.
I think there's a world with Willie Nylander at $11 million, Matthews 4-year deal kicking in next year, and Marner re-signing in 2 years from now. I think there's a world there.
In 2 years from now, or July 1st this year? Because he can sign this in 6 months, right?
Yeah, you can. But what matters is when the money kicks in.
Right, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It doesn't matter. Sign him, don't sign him. It's just what matters is can you carry those guys through the threshold of then dropping Tavares's $11 million?
Yeah.
And the answer is, yeah, you probably can. You're going to have to be a little creative here, and I don't know what that means to plug up the rest of your lineup.
It sucks that they have to be creative right in these guys' prime. You know what I mean? Like they gotta skimp in the years where they're at their very best.
And it will tough. Because unfortunately next year is challenging because Matthews' contract kicks in. So that's an additional 2. And then Willie's
1.5, I guess.
Willie's kicks in at an additional 4, right? So that's eating up
the cap.
The cap.
The cap increase, yeah.
Without figuring out if Domi's back.
Yeah, and then, Brody's money is off, Bertuzzi's money is off. As you mentioned, you had to pay these guys, but those guys are making significant salaries that you could replace. You look at good players for that money.
But I don't think it's easy to just brush off, if Nylander signs at 11, Mitch is done. He's gone. What you need to find out, first of all, is there a world where you could actually win in the playoffs with 4 of these forwards leading the charge?
Hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened yet.
Last night. When I talk about the awesome hockey game last night?
Ovechkin Cup year. Yes.
All right. They won too convincingly last night. They played too well. Got to talk about something else.
The Toronto Maple Leafs won their best hockey match of the season last night. How'd I do?
Yeah.
Was it not? I mean, what an awesome road showing against a contender.
Maybe even longer than in the last season.
I mean, didn't give him a sniff. I think through 2 periods, I said LA had 3 slot shots. I mean, really tight defensive game.
Yeah.
Jones was good. Forwards checked.
You know what this means
can do
now? Like, no excuses from here on
I
in.
know. It's like we've seen it. You can do
You've
it.
seen it.
As early as tonight, where they're playing one of the worst teams in the league, whose backup's playing because they got a flu bug. Like, it's...
Oh, this is right for Leafs.
Yeah.
Leafs to drop the ball. We never get to enjoy Leafs stuff for long.
No odd man rushes, no gambling, no bad pinches, no bad line
The clock
changes.
just ran out while they led last night. Yeah, it was really refreshing.
Matthews, I thought, played a fantastic game. It doesn't have to shoot the puck in the net
To have a good game.
to have a great game all the time.
I don't remember watching a hockey game for the Leafs in a long time. Like you said, this might be their best performance, not of just this year, of a really long time, where they were playing hard from the start and they were the aggressors of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were playing like the Panthers all
Kings
of a sudden.
were on their
like,
heels. Like,
yeah,
right
but they
away.
were slashing and hacking every scrum in front of the net. They just seemed like, I don't know what the rivalry is here. Maybe they're trying to get them back for 93 all of a sudden. Like, I don't know why they played this hard against the Kings. I guess it's a measuring stick
it's
game.
because every time they embarrass themselves, this is what they do.
But
they
not like this,
that they're
Borny.
good.
Not like the way they looked last night. Last night is the hardest I can remember them playing in this era in a long time. Like, it was like just hard on sticks in front of the net, body checks. Like, it was unlike them.
And I think we've spent a lot of time on how the Leafs do against bottom teams, against the bottom 7 teams. We had some stats that they're like, one of the bottom few in terms of record. But this year, guys, their best games, so they just took it to the Kings. They played that great game against the Rangers in Madison Square Garden where they went 7-3. They took Boston to overtime twice. They've played really well against the best teams in the league, which is why they're such a confounding team.
Yeah.
That they'll
I think losing to a playoff type of team like Carolina on the weekend as well was a friendly reminder of the way you need to play.
And they played well, or well enough, right? I mean, 3-2 loss. They were in that game at least. But you're right. That still wasn't enough. And I think
it wasn't enough.
It can be an eye-opener. It's like, okay, even when we play well against these top teams, they're good teams. So
Martin Jones also posts his 30th shutout of his career. I don't know what we were expecting. I wasn't expecting a shutout. I can tell you that. He didn't look overly busy. He made that one save, that one early save. Was that on the power play?
On Trevor Moore.
On Trevor Moore.
In the slot, robbed him.
Like, going down 1-0 there would have felt like a ripoff to 19 other guys because they were deserving of not going down 1-0.
Right.
And that's the type of saves you need, and ones that they didn't get out of Samsonov.
No, they certainly did not. He looked really good. And so I'm curious about tonight now.
Well, to me, the biggest point of the game for him was the power play at the end of the second period.
Yeah.
Where he made
5 or 6 saves there.
And a couple, they weren't $10, but a couple just really solid saves. And that's something that's killed the Leafs this year, is goals at the end of the period where it just feels like it changes the game. And they're going into the period 2-0 versus 2-1. And in that building, you know how they've blown leads or whatever. I think that's a big momentum builder for them. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. You see why Jones was allowed to get 27 wins with an under 900 save percentage last year. Yeah. Because he just looks like a normal NHL goalie, right? Like he's not flying around. He's big. He's calm. You get why he keeps getting chances.
All right, let's go to Sheldon Keefe for our first Kippers Clipper of the show on Martin Jones.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I thought the guys defended really hard in front of him to help make his night manageable. We haven't always done the job for our goalies, but I thought tonight the guys did a terrific job. And that said, I think they had a pass out to Moore in the first period that he makes just an incredible save for us. That's a game-changing save, even though it's early in the game. You get down against this team here, the way that they defend, and it changes the game dramatically. So, despite the fact that we played well and we played hard and we loved a lot of things, there's still not much between the two teams. But it's good to see us get rewarded today because there's some parallels between this game and the Carolina game the other night, which we didn't get rewarded for, mainly on the backs of our special teams. But it's 2 games in a row now. We haven't given up a goal at 5-on-5, and that gives you a chance to win every night.
Yeah, I thought the blue line in front of him was as good as most definitely we've seen all season, and again, maybe even longer.
Hey, what are we going to do with Simon Benoit? I mean,
Simone?
I
think it's Simon or Simon. I don't care. Whoever his name is, I've gone full Johnny and Etobicoke on Benoit.
Oh yeah.
Love the guy.
Yeah.
Like he's what every Leaf fan loves. Like
is this our Pontus Holmberg offer sheet moment?
He's just a butcher. And
I'm thrilled.
There we go. He just does. He hits guys. He's throwing his weight around. He's fighting. He's not
Holmberg because I think he's UFA. Is he not?
Yeah, he is UFA.
And you know what I'll say about him as a compliment? He knows what he is. You know, like he's got personality. He'll look you in the eye. Like the Leafs have really been lacking that type of guy, and so it's really refreshing.
Yeah,
to have someone like that. God, he played a lot of minutes for him last night.
I didn't love the
16 and a half.
Fight. Yeah.
He got up to 16 and a half
with 5 or 10 left in the game with his finger. So he would have been an 18-minute night.
Yeah. No, he's in every battle.
Yeah.
And he's pulling 2 guys down at the same time after Matthews gets run from behind.
Bufflin, eh?
Yeah, like I am who I am, and I love guys like this. Like guys who are signed for nothing and are expected of nothing that give you a little bit of surplus is every Leaf fan's dream. It's like a guy that'll fight.
Cult hero.
And like the Fantilli thing, like we talked about it yesterday, where he gets in the face of Fantilli, the biggest, meanest guy in the league comes over the boards. He fights him. Yeah. Last night, fights for no reason again. He can't fight. He's a bad fighter, Benoit. He keeps falling over.
He also fought 2 giant men.
He's not.
But he's just willing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you need to be a good. You don't need to be a great fighter anymore. You just need to make sure you don't get hurt and you don't embarrass your team.
Well, I think both guys he fought were 6'5", 230.
He's good enough at that. He's good enough at that.
Yes, exactly. So I would say he's cemented himself a place. Like Connor Timmins, I mean, how do you put him in over Benoit?
No,
he's giving you.
You know, I think Connor Timmins has fallen below Lagesson pretty clearly for the next person that comes in, right? Because now you have Lilligren back in there.
Too?
Yeah, me too.
Hey, by the way, Brad Treliving.
Well, touched with this a little bit on Leafs Talk last night. The high-end ticket items haven't looked so hot for a lot of the year. You talk about Bertuzzi, who had a good night last night, but he's been up and down. Domi's been better, but, Klingberg, Reeves. Yeah. And then the Benoit, Lagesson, Jones combo.
Well, how about Gregor, too? Put him in there.
Like that that trio has been a godsend for them.
Yeah.
Where would they be without those 3 guys?
So I just want to go back on your comment because I know it's a bit of a throwaway comment, but the one that on Benoit and sign him. Did you say that?
I did say it. For sure, sign him.
But this is where in the past the Leafs have kind of overplayed their hand. Is that they don't necessarily sign players. They wait.
Yeah.
And then it gets too late and they leave.
Yeah, they go take a little bit more somewhere else.
So if you're Benoit right now and you've gone from nothing to all of a sudden being something, would
he sign 3 times 1?
Where is the number? Like, who's it upon? Is it upon the Leafs to make him an offer that just rises a little above, or do they want to?
If you make him a one-way guy for 3 years at $1 million, would he do it?
Yes, I'd imagine so. But I don't know if the Leafs want to do that.
Look at what Lyubushkin turned himself into.
Made 2.7 times 2 or 3. I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm not saying Benoit is that. Lyubushkin made a lot of money there.
But is he 1.7 worse than Lyubushkin right now?
I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of Lyubushkin.
Yeah, we have to watch the Bush
Just
tonight.
go back to what Lyubushkin did as a Leaf compared to what Benoit's doing now.
Yeah,
would they be a comparable for you, Sammy?
Yeah, hit harder and chased.
Okay,
a little more aggressively. But
if he's not 2.7, would another team be willing to give him 1.8, 1.7, 1.6?
Maybe, yeah, probably.
So, to your point, do the Leafs try to get ahead of it and offer him $1 million times 3?
Yeah, give him some one-way security. He's been you're a PTO guy this year, wasn't he?
No, he's $775.
Was he?
Yeah.
one way?
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
All
no,
right.
I think it was. I'm just
Might be two-way. I don't think he had much choice. I don't know.
One thing I really like about him is that he said, I forget where the interview was, that he thinks Anaheim messed up. It was Anaheim, right? Messed up by not signing him.
He has an RFA at the end of it,
Oh,
not a UFA.
oh, that helps.
Yeah.
But he,
That helps. That's a big difference.
Yeah,
he
massive.
clearly said that like Anaheim should have
Yeah.
signed me. Like,
So there's
he
no,
believes in
there's
himself.
there's no
Chill.
hurry to sign him. Then
Sorry.
you just see
That's
see
what
it.
I'm saying. He can play out the year.
play out the year. I thought he presented as a UFA, but
did I.
that's
He's 25 years old. God, he could be a decent player for them.
well, he's
Good
always
duster.
going to be a 5, 6, or 7,
No, he does not.
right?
Don't. This is not getting too excited.
No.
He's going to be more.
No,
but
no,
it's
no.
found money. If you find a $5,
Yeah.
it's not a 50, but it's nice to
Yeah.
find a $5.
Well, it doesn't then appear he's going anywhere then.
Right.
After this year, but if you're him, just see how
Keep
this
on
thing
trucking.
finishes. But love the response off of the Pierre-Luc Dubois hit on Matthews, which
Nice
included
there, right?
Matthew Nyes, no hesitation whatsoever.
Mhm.
Man down, I'm going in. Like we've all been starving to see that on a fairly consistent basis, guys. It just appears to be now more natural than ever for them.
I think I don't remember if you mentioned it last night or not, but since Marchand on Liljegren, it really became a talking point. The Leafs, it seems like they've made more of an effort to stick up for one another, and maybe some of that is Lagesson and Benoit trying to earn spots, but Nyes, getting in there. Domi's been a little bit more physical at times. I think it's been a positive change in the team this year.
Classic Pierre-Luc Dubois game last night. Where
No show, one greasy play.
barely noticed him. Total dive on one of the penalties. Grabs Matthews by the hip, twists him a foot from the boards. Doesn't engage anybody else.
You
like
Like,
him.
just classic.
I
dude.
thought there's some horrible calls. I never
Awful officiating.
We
I
calls
never
last
crap on the officials.
we
but
never do.
Do they even know what cross-checking was last night? Even Bertuzzi's penalty was like a bit of a shove, and it's like, okay, you got bad balance,
Let him play.
but
Yeah,
you
was
know,
it who got the first
It was
one?
a non-factor.
Was it Domi's?
Max Domi's call
Oh
was
my God.
horrible.
So bad. But they seemed like that was their standard last night. They were calling
And
everything.
then one of their defense got a cross-checking penalty too, which
Yeah,
I thought was
right after.
which was
Yeah.
just as bad of a call.
Yeah.
But anyways, it didn't factor into the game, which was
Should
a
we
good thing.
quickly talk Bert before we? I know we got to get
Yeah.
to Luke.
Oh,
at
we
some
got
point.
we got
Yeah.
8 or 9 minutes here. We
Okay.
can talk about
Playoff Bert last night.
That's the guy you want to see.
Yeah. That's what I think we've seen in the past out of him
Mhm.
in Boston. The one that Leaf fans and Brad Treliving thought, yeah, that's worth 5 and a
Yeah.
half.
I mean, this guy, his equipment setup
Oh,
and the
my God.
way he looks out there is unlike any NHLer I've ever seen.
What was the tweet last night you read?
Oh, it was Carl Pilaf. Sam retweeted
It's a
it.
buddy of mine I went to college with. It was something about him. The next step was him wearing jeans
He
over
said
his
there's a
shin
40% chance some game this year he wears jeans over his shin pads out there.
But like,
He puts the one strip of tape over the hollow end of the stick.
so I don't know. Like I asked what people's ideas were, and they like the tweets I got. People are so funny. They're like, to keep his vape pen in was one of the answers I got. To keep his darts in, to keep the keys to his Camaro in there. Like, I got some excellent answers. But apparently, you have to have tape on the top of your stick.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you could carve a guy's face
So
to that.
his loophole,
His should be illegal.
but I thought it was maybe to his finger doesn't get
I
stuck
thought
down
the
in
same
there.
thing. So because
Yeah.
I actually hold the top of the stick
Same.
a little bit,
Yeah.
and I thought maybe it was something with that. But
The butt end work I could do with that stick.
with his, oh my
Oh,
God, you
yeah.
could carve someone like the Joker.
Yes.
Did
And
you
you cover it with your top hand, and
those
nobody
sharp-
nobody can pick it up.
Did you see? Well, did you see at the little clip from the World Juniors the Connor Geeky kid who goes around 80 times?
Yeah, I did see that. What
It's
is
like
he, a goalie?
80?
He goes around 80
Not 79,
times.
not
Tennis
81.
ball, this
No,
thing.
he is 80 times around. So it's the opposite
80.
of that. Yeah. But
Like-
I don't know. He was awesome last night.
Like
Tuesday.
Bird, I was like, did his elbow pad slide down when his
Yeah.
glove came off, or was that a wrist guard?
I don't-
Like
I don't
everything
know.
is just.
I don't know.
And Keith said something like,
Yeah, we got the clip. You want to
okay.
play it?
Yeah, let's do
on
that.
number clip 4 on Bertuzzi there. Derek.
Huge plays. Those are, again, there's not much going on out there offensively. It's hard to generate chances. He makes 2 plays to set up grade A chances. And if there was ever a guy that was going to make a play with looking a little bit odd with one glove on, he would be my pick. It was great. It was great. He stays in the battle and makes the plays. It was really good to see.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive saving the play with one glove.
2 thoughts on him last night. Just one so positive, right? That when he's whacking guys and digging out pucks and making plays for guys, he can be really effective. The other is, and I'll just say it, not a fast skater. No. Like that 2-on-1 with Willie. Like if he's a half a stride faster, he can make a play. There's a forecheck where he's first down on the puck and he can't get to it first. Yeah, like he's just not a fast skater. That's all.
The Leafs didn't look fast last night for the first time for me, which is, again, plays into the more of a playoff type of feel.
Yeah, which is where
he's
suddenly
they actually
irrelevant.
Slowed the game down a little bit. There was no stretch passes. There was no blowing the zone. There was not trying to do everything fast. And that plays into the hands of a Tyler Bertuzzi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a style of play last night was more conducive to winning in the playoffs than anything that we've seen in the past with them trying to be this fast, north-south team.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's a good thing for Tyler Bertuzzi and maybe
and encouraging for Leafs fans. Like, okay, there's a style of game where this guy can be one of our top producers.
And it didn't rip off Mitch Marner or Matthews from getting their looks as well.
Sure.
The first 4 shifts Matthews had in that game were as good as you can play hockey.
Yeah.
Like
he's all over it.
He needed another league. Yeah. Like he was flying around. He could have had 3 or 4 in the first 4 shifts that he had.
Yeah.
Kind of went away a little bit, but he was he was really good defensively last night too.
Now LA just there wasn't one guy that could get anything going, and I give a ton of credit for the Leafs because for the most part LA's been a very good hockey club this year. They've had some issues at home for whatever reason, killing it on the road, but that team looks like a team that in many ways could end up being like the Leafs right now, going, okay, who's our goalie? And Talbot's been really good for them, but I don't see a world where they have a real comfort thinking Talbot's going to be the guy in the spring.
I wouldn't say anything last night was really particularly his fault, in terms of just watching that game, but I agree.
I don't disagree with you on that, but I just think there's a faith in a guy between the pipes, and I don't believe LA's there with Cam Talbot.
Get in line, get in line if you're looking to acquire any of the available goalies, LA, because there is a long list.
There's a naked tree out there, apparently.
There's no goalies on the goalie tree.
Yeah. Thought the 4th line was good last night.
Sorry, the Bertuzzi clip with Tavares, do we want?
No, it's okay.
Okay, then let's go to the depth because David Kampf, not involved in the game of Carolina, came back and shored up that 4th line. Let's listen to Sheldon Keefe on clip 7.
I liked this game a lot. I thought his line was just really good. I felt comfortable putting them out there against anybody. Camper was he gave us tonight what I expect from him, and I thought his line mates followed, which is really what you're looking for.
So there you go.
Yeah. Good night for Kampf.
Old Nicky Robertson didn't play a whole lot last night. Went down below 10.
So Robertson too, it wasn't like the 4th line or his line, played poorly or anything like that. Like Robertson alone played, what was it, 8 minutes or something?
8:30.
Next lowest was actually Calle Yarncroc. Yeah. And then, everyone else is up quite a bit. He's just, when the games are like this, Kip, you talk about how Bertuzzi, that's how it's going to work. When the games get like that, he's the worst version of himself.
Tonight's a Nick Robertson.
He can't.
Yes, the next 3 games are San Jose, Anaheim. He should go get 5 points.
But he can't do what Bertuzzi does, right? And that's just play a physical type of game, causing havoc.
It's hard to see him in their playoff lineup right now, Robertson, unless there's some I know everyone wants the young prospects to get opportunities and be great, and maybe he will be. But just ask yourself what that role will look like on a team that has a ton of offense and he's not going to be on the power play. What do his minutes look like? When do you put him over the boards against Florida?
Yeah. Let's hit break. Get to Luke.
We're going to go to break. When we come back, Luke Fox, who's covering the Leafs for us out in California. Nice gig. We'll get his thoughts on who should be starting tonight. The Leafs did not skate. There have been no announcements, at least to the knowledge of our show. We'll get Luke Fox's thoughts when we return on Real Kyper and Bourne. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Tomorrow the league will announce 32 names for the NHL All-Star Weekend, which is fast approaching.
Mm-hmm.
Still doing the one for every team thing?
Yes.
Dumb.
Sorry, NHL.
Sorry.
To our overlord.
It's just the first round of names.
But
so,
just,
all right,
there's not an all-star in every team.
It's nice to have multiple options in the Leafs as opposed to the time it was Leo Komarov or Thomas Caberlet is the only guy like.
But how about like the
Did
Canucks
that really happen
this year?
What?
Leo
Komarov?
Komarov?
Oh yeah, bud. Yeah,
He was the only one?
Yeah, in 2015 when they were really bad, he was the All-Star.
You have a terrific memory, man.
Yeah. I don't remember my email password.
I think most Leaf fans have forgotten.
I watched 80-82 that year. The worst season ever. Got Matthews though. So, anyways, I think we got Luke.
Do we got Luke?
I think so. Do we? Or am I lying?
They're setting him up as we speak.
Oh, my bad.
Luke Fox is getting ready to join us.
Think he's on the beach?
No, I think he's probably in his hotel.
Will he have any insight?
Let's find out.
Does he have? All right, let's go to Luke Fox, fresh off his celebrity homes tour in L.A. Did you pass by Jimmy Kimmel's house, and was there a lawyer in his driveway, Luke?
No, I actually came right from the Winter Classic in Seattle to the LA game. So from one rink to another, outdoor to indoor. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, where do you want to start with the Leafs? Martin Jones, Willie Nylander. Where's your biggest story about to go on Sportsnet.ca?
Well, I think you have the biggest story, Nick, breaking the Willie Nylander news.
We've gone down that path already.
Oh, okay.
No. We want to hear your version, pal.
Well, I just find it fascinating. It seems like another case of maybe they waited too long and watched one of their players, their stock rise. And, he had leverage to begin with in terms of, a partial no trade and, willing his very demeanor, his willingness to go into a contract year and risk, I guess having a bad season, getting hurt, all those things, betting on himself. And all he did was raise his price with his play. I mean, he's been phenomenal. The knock on him was never that he couldn't perform like this. It was he couldn't do it this consistently. And there's been only 4 games all season that he hasn't got a point. He leads the team in scoring, 50 points already. He's on pace for a career year to trump his career year last year. And I think the most encouraging thing, if you are willing to cut this check that could be as large as you're talking, Nick, is he's a guy that actually shows up in the playoffs. He's a guy that didn't look out of place or shook by the moment in the postseason. So Brad Treliving cannot have Johnny Gaudreau 2.0 walk this guy out the door and say goodbye to a prime talent in his prime and just let him go sign with Chicago or whoever. And Willie's forced his hand. So now looks like he's gonna get his payday.
There you go. We're sitting here debating. We discussed that a bit, and then we went on to the goaltending.
Can I ask him one more question on Willie?
Hey, if you want to stay with
Willie,
please do.
Just in terms of Luke, I find it fascinating you mentioning the Leafs and their inability to tie up guys fast enough and watch the price of poker to go up. There still may be a sense out there that they're trying hard somehow, some way to get that number below 11. You front load it. JB, I think there might be some rumblings that you've heard as well that they're maybe trying to still hold on hope that he can sign something under 11. Do you think that is even out there anymore, or is that ship sailed?
Well, I mean, if you're Nylander, you could hold fast at 11. You'd be doing the team a favor at this point. Now, the Leafs, what they have in their advantage is they can offer the 8th year, so they can give them more money as a whole, and try and get the cap a bit down. And they have cash up front. We saw it in the Matthews deal. We've seen it in many deals. They love to incentivize with the salary bonuses, get that in the bank account right away, start earning interest, all those good things. But it's up to Nylander to say yes to it. He could still hold them hostage a little bit here if he wants and say, hey, I'm right on pace with my good buddy David Pastrnak. I want his money. Look at Johnny Gaudreau. Look at Huberdeau. I'm outperforming those guys. I'm worth more than them. Plus the cap is going up. So the percentage, even if I got what they're making, would be less. And so I think it's all up to him. It's in his control, because I think the Leafs are quite frightened that they could lose him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think for Willie's sake, if he can come in, Nick, at 11 or 10.9 or whatever it is, it'll look good for him, as given, the fans will appreciate a lower number, right? And that just garners you goodwill, and I think that's worth it when you're there for 8 years as a consideration as well. Any more on?
No, I'm good, pal.
I want to ask you just the vibes of the goaltender. Like, are we going to get to see the Hildebeest tonight, or what's going on?
I don't know. It's really kind of confusing because Sheldon Keefe's been so non-committal, and he said he wanted to see the LA game play out, and it played out in a way that you could sell the back-to-back. I asked Martin Jones if he'd be good to go. He said, yeah. There's no flight. It's just a bus ride. Now, it is a quick turnaround, but Martin Jones said something that really caught my ear, and he was the type of saves I was making weren't particularly taxing. A lot of the Kings action was coming head on. There wasn't a lot of side to side stuff.
Really?
Yeah, which I guess is more, makes sense, more taxing on a goaltender's body if he's constantly dealing with one-timers and cross-seam passes. And he said most of it was head on. So that's like a less stressful day for him. So I think that it really boils down to which goaltender is going to give him the best chance to win. I think that's Martin Jones. It's about, the sports science guys getting in there and saying, well, let's be careful with him. Or, maybe Brad Treliving says, hey, we called this guy up. We're going to have to use him at some point. Why not throw him against the Ducks, who are horrible? Apparently they're going through the flu right now, and they're starting their backup, Lucas Dostal, who has a sub 900 save percentage. So it is a pretty cushy situation if you were to go and throw in a prospect.
We're talking to Luke Fox. He does a terrific job for Sportsnet.ca as one of the league and Leaf writers. In terms of the blue line, do you think, outside of Martin Jones, maybe buying them a little bit of time, that guys like Benoit are doing their part as well?
Yes. I'm become a big Simon Benoit fan. And I actually, it started in training camp when, he was late to get going and battling through an injury. And I got him one-on-one, outside the practice facility and talked to him for a while. And he was so confident. He's like, yeah, I'm behind, but I'm going to take my spot. I'm going to earn my spot. And I just love that confidence. He wasn't saying, oh, I'm going to try and we'll see. And he was like assertive that he would do this. And I think part of that comes from never being drafted, from, having his chip on his shoulder by not being qualified by the same Anaheim Ducks team that he's going to face tonight. And he's got an edge to him. And Sheldon Keefe said something this week that was really telling. He's like, he's our biggest defenseman. He's our most physical defenseman. And he just keeps getting better every day. He's still relatively young and he's cheap. And I got to thinking, like, are the guys who sign one-year deals are eligible to re-sign after January 1st? Why not? Have you not seen enough? Let's get this guy re-signed. As long as he re-signs for third pair money, keep this guy in the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. We had a little discussion on that ourselves. Before we let you go, just wanted to get you to weigh in on where Tyler Bertuzzi's at. Has a nice game last night. Do you see signs of him coming around and being the guy that the Leafs need him to be?
Yeah, I do for sure. The numbers aren't there, like the hard production numbers, but Sheldon Keefe said our best line all season has been Bertuzzi with Tavares and Nylander. And I think it took a while, but he has the coach's trust. I thought he was fabulous last night. 2 primary points in the type of game that you're probably going to see more of in the playoffs, like tight checking, not a lot there. But he has good playmaking abilities, makes it happen, and he does the one with the one glove. I mean, this guy is like a human yard sale. Like if this whole NHL thing doesn't work out for him, he could be like an extra on Shoresy or something. Yeah, I just love his whole. I love his whole
character.
Have you seen Hildeby? Man, they could be in Game of Thrones next edition.
True, good call.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see on him.
All right, we'll let you get ready to go to the rink, Luke. Really appreciate it. Have fun covering Leafs and Anaheim tonight.
Okay, I'm waiting for you to break the official news here.
No.
Thanks, Luke.
Everything's thrown towards Elliot the rest of the way.
Luke did ask Willie about the contract, right? And Willie said, "I'm not going to answer."
Yeah.
Not touching.
I'm close. It's close.
Yeah. Oh, so close. I need 20 more bucks.
The only thing I mentioned last night that someone mentioned to me is in a perfect world, they could get it done before the All-Star break. And Elliot said last night on our show that, they wouldn't be surprised if it would happen as early as next week. So that would probably just be one thing you could check off.
Yeah. Be nice at least not to
the
have
list.
to think about that anymore, not hear about it. Anything else from last night, Kip? We got a couple more. We do have some clips. Willie killing penalties last night. Does that do anything for you on his added value? Or is he, he's actually able to be used in multiple, his ice time's way up from past years because of that, I think.
Let's have a listen on Sheldon Keefe with a new added addition to his penalty kill.
He's just done a good job with it. He's done a good job with it. Dean Chenault obviously leads the way there, and he talks to Willie a lot, but he's done a good job with it. He's, not just this season, but he's been patient. He's worked through a lot of meetings, sat through a lot of meetings over the last couple of seasons to learn about it, and he's very eager. So we wanted to get him a little more involved and move him up the chain a little bit. Coming off a game where we didn't get the kills that we wanted to see if we could give Willie a little bit more and see if that changed things a bit, and he did a really good job today.
It's a good lesson for all you kids out there. Play defense. You get more ice time. Now you're killing him. He's out there at the end of the game. He gets an empty net goal rewarded for being able to play both sides of the puck.
The feeling out there is that Matthews will be one of the names mentioned tomorrow for the All-Star weekend, but it's hard to imagine that weekend next month without Willie.
Willie's going to be there
in that lineup.
Yeah, I think Matthews would probably be
but he has to get
pretty obvious choice.
But
he's got 30 goals. Just turned New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
But he'll have to get voted in. That's, I think, the way the process works.
I have to believe the Toronto fan base.
Yeah.
Will chuck him a couple of votes.
It's hard to imagine an NHL All-Star weekend without Willie Styles part of it.
Yeah.
Do you think the Toronto guys are dreading it? The fact that it's here?
I would, for sure. If
Why?
I were those guys. Oh, every day, a million microphones. Yeah, things are great.
No,
They're gonna have to come on this show.
It's a cool thing. It's a cool thing. In '94, we hosted, and Richter, Leach.
They had fun.
And, oh my God, it was a blast.
Okay.
And there's an added dimension for the All-Star weekend that they're going to be excited about. I'll tell you about it after the break.
Oh,
how's that?
what a tease.
What a tease.
Oh my God, you're good at this
the
now.
host with the most. Don't go away. We go national next on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Welcome back into the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. This is the national edition. We are live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Jason Brough, co-host of the Halford and Brough Show in Vancouver, Monday through Fridays, 6 to 9 a.m. on Sportsnet 650. We'll get into the Vancouver Canucks, maybe what TC's nationally across the country. Just prior to going to break, we talked a little bit about the NHL All-Star Weekend here in Toronto. We expect the league to announce as many as how many?
Just one per team, yeah.
32 players tomorrow.
Which, by the way, what does Vancouver do? They have like 5 legitimate All-Stars.
We'll ask Jason about that as well. And then how it goes, guys, is I think the fans then get to vote 12 more players, 6 skaters and 4 goalies. 8 skaters. Sorry. Yeah, my math.
Yeah.
See what happens when I work late?
Listen, neither of us are mathists.
But then Vancouver fans, Calgary fans, Toronto fans can vote in their remaining players.
Yeah. I mean, we're in here in Toronto. Matthews and Nylander are kind of no-brainers. But Pettersson, Hughes, Demko, Miller,
So just before we went to break again, you mentioned that maybe the Leaf players would dread All-Star Weekend. See, I am just so opposite of that comment.
God, they're around the media all the time. And then on a weekend, other people go to Punta Cana. They got to come talk to, listen, Luke, I love you, but they got to talk to Luke again. They got to talk to, we're going to be there.
Yeah.
We're going to be there. They're going to have to come talk to us.
See, in 94, the year we won the Cup, was also the year the NHL All-Star Weekend came to Madison Square Garden. Yeah. And, by then, Mark Messier had 5 cups in his hip pocket, and that guy just loved every second of it.
Yeah.
And Brian Leach was involved. Mike Richter was involved. I think Mike Richter won the car, in the game. Like he needed another one. But it's a once in a lifetime to be the host city to it.
Yeah.
And I think the players are going to love it.
At it fondly for sure.
Plus, as I told you, a little added incentive. The Beeb is going to give the players and maybe some of their families a private concert.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What?
Yes. The Beeb is all over NHL All-Star Weekend.
It's the Beebs, not the Beeb.
Oh. Sorry, Justin.
Yeah, the Beebs.
All right.
Zed.
The Beebs.
Yeah. We got to get the Beebs on the show during that time.
Leave it to Beebs.
I don't know what I'd ask them.
Oh, do you like hockey, Beebs?
So, Sammy, you're going to crash that party and somehow get into his show?
I do appreciate the Beebs.
I would really love to take part in any NHL All-Star Weekend parties. So if you guys got invites for me or anybody out there listening wants to invite me to places, I am in.
Can we get Chris Pronger to crush him into the boards again like he did the 100th All-Star Weekend in LA?
That's really cool that he's doing that. That is a little something special for these guys.
I will talk to him about his uniform last night, though, the 3rd Leaf jersey, the black one. Is that not his?
Yeah.
I don't like them at all. And I'm not a uniform guy.
I don't like black jerseys. I like those. I like them.
They look like practice jerseys.
I like them.
I do too.
I mostly
like them as their jersey.
My mom loves them. So
really?
The beans or the jerseys?
No, the jerseys.
Okay, I'm in the minority then.
She says that they look tougher in them. So, and they played tough last night, so maybe she's onto something.
Could be.
I don't know.
Okay, then wear them all the time.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah, there you go. McDavid?
Yeah, so McDavid hits 900 points in 602 career games. That makes him the 5th fastest player to hit the 900-point mark. Here's the baffling part to me. Gretzky did it in 217 fewer games. So this is not to take away.
2.5 seasons?
Yeah, it's not to take away from McDavid, who is a freak of nature. But Gretzky, God, did that guy have a lot of points and quickly. 385 games. He had 900 points.
List? You have the 5?
Yes. Gretzky.
Mario.
385. Lemieux, 463. Mike Bossy, 582. Peter Stastny, 599. And Connor McDavid, 602. To 900 points.
Is it Lindros really? He's got to be close on that, too.
I don't know. But McDavid is going to get 2,000 points. Book it.
Wow. He had 5 points last night.
Good player. Good.
Did you see any of the game or see the highlights?
Saucy Saucerson.
All the goals were so nice.
All right, we have Brough.
Okay, let's go.
All right, as promised, Jason Brough, co-host of Halford and Brough in Vancouver, joins us now. Brough, what's going on? Where are you?
I'm just at my kitchen table. I decided to come out of the car and and I'm just at my kitchen table, and you know what I'm doing? I've got Gretzky's Hockey DB page up, and I'm looking at all the 200-point seasons he had when he was in his like early 20s, and I think half of those points came against the Canucks.
The sad club commissioner has all the stats on the Canucks getting destroyed.
God. But I remember when Gretzky and the Oilers would come to the Pacific Coliseum, and you might think, oh, people would be lined up to go. No, there'd be like 7,000 people there. We've seen this story before. Yeah, no, this is just embarrassing. Yeah.
Bruffer,
what's happening, boys? Happy New Year.
If the Canucks were as good as they are today, maybe those points wouldn't have come that easily.
Mm-hmm.
No. Well, you know what? Gretzky and McDavid, they're just on a different tangent. I mean, they're totally different players, but I've been watching hockey my whole life. I'm getting a little bit older now. I've never seen a player like McDavid. Like McDavid is just on an absolute another level, and I don't even know if we appreciate how good he really is. Like, would anyone be surprised if he wins the Art Ross Trophy this season and wins it by like 20 points?
No.
Yeah.
We were saying yesterday that he was an even odds guy to win the Hart Trophy with Kucherov, and I was like, what? Like who's taking Kucherov in that scenario?
So, brother, let's talk Vancouver Canucks.
Sure.
Fourth in the NHL in points percentage. Are we at that point where they're in that upper echelon of teams that we think can compete for a Stanley Cup? Or are they just underneath it? Where do you have them?
I just have to preface this by saying I have never been more surprised by the start of a Canucks season. I am still totally blown away by the success that they're having. I didn't see this coming. I really didn't. I thought there might be some improvement under Rick Tocchet. I thought maybe they'd be a little bit better defensively, but if you look at their record and you look at their goal differential and, you look at all the games they've won in regulation, I know that's a talking point of Toronto with the Leafs having not won many games in regulation. It is shocking. And it hasn't even been half a season. So we're here in Vancouver trying to adjust to this. And it's really weird. And we don't know exactly what to think of it because it's been bad the last few years, and people are now watching the Canucks a lot differently, but the badness is still in the back of their mind, right? So like we were talking about the trade deadline, and for the last, except for that bubble year, which was so weird, and I don't even count, for almost like a decade, the trade deadline is like, oh, that's selling time. Like, who can we get draft picks for? And now we're trying to adjust to this. Like, I think they could use another top six winger. It would be great if they could find another defenseman because, we have to remind ourselves of all these things. Oh, yeah, you need, like, defensive depth for the playoffs because, like, it's almost like learning how to walk again. And I still don't know like, I don't know if I would call the Canucks a legit Stanley Cup contender today. And a lot of that's it's just too soon.
You're afraid to be hurt, Brough. That's all it is.
I'm afraid to be made to look like a fool. Like as soon as I say like, yeah, they're Cup contenders, they've had a lot of things go right for them. I'm trying not to take anything away from them because, I think Tocchet has done just an incredible job. The way they played under Bruce Boudreau was fun at times. And listen, we all love Bruce. We love his personality. But when I watched that team, and I was saying this isn't hindsight. I was saying this when he was still there, and it was kind of an ugly situation. They didn't look like a well-coached team to me. They didn't play like that. They played beer league hockey at times. They're probably, Ottawa Senators fans are like, like it's this. I saw a lot of the old Canucks in the Senators game last night when the Canucks were just all over them. It's 5-0 at the end of the first. No one seems to know what they're doing in their own end, and and bounces are going against them. So, I'm sure from an outsider perspective, people are like, what are you talking about? Of course they're Stanley Cup contenders. Look at their record. Look at, they've got elite players at all the positions. You got Petey and Miller. down the middle. You got Brock Besser scoring like an elite goal-scoring winger. Quinn Hughes, Norris Trophy candidate. Thatcher Demko, Vezina candidate. Of course, these guys are Stanley Cup contenders, but I'm just not ready to do it, whether or not I should or not.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It is a tough adjustment. We didn't go into the season thinking they're going to be this good. So the All-Star teams are going to be announced shortly. You know, looking at this Canucks group, it's like, my God, like obviously JT Miller with 50 points and Quinn Hughes, obviously, and Pettersson, obviously. Besser's got 25 goals. Like, you know, Demko's unbelievable. Who gets the credit for this success here among these players? Who should go?
Who should go? Definitely Quinn Hughes.
Yes.
Definitely Quinn Hughes.
That's number one.
For sure, number one. And I don't, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know what's the maximum number of players from each team. They keep changing the All-Star rules, and I don't really keep up with it. I just hope there's a drunken player draft that I can watch and enjoy. But, you know, it doesn't really matter to me, like, who goes. I know who's been playing well, but it would start with Quinn Hughes. I didn't think he could take his game to another level, and he really has. And, you know, he was really good last season. He's been better this season. He is just able to skate himself, not only, you know, we always hear about his escapability in terms of the forecheck, but he has an escapability in the offensive zone that we don't see from many players. Like he has developed this, you know, he doesn't just walk the blue line. He walks the blue line and then goes downhill and gets himself in these really great shooting positions, which is why he's scoring more goals this year. He's also worked on his shot. So, you know, better shot, putting himself in better chances to score adds up to him actually scoring goals. And that's something that he wanted to do. He saw a guy like Roman Josi scoring goals, and he was like, I want to do that too. And he's done it. And I also think he was the perfect choice for captain. He's a well-spoken, composed guy who's been around NHL ranks just because of his family situation for pretty much his whole life. I know there was a bit of a debate in Vancouver, you know, should it be Hughes or should it be JT Miller or should it be Pettersson? Hughes was the obvious choice. Miller, you know, he's great as like a right-hand man. Because he's so emotional, but sometimes the emotion can be a problem when you're a leader. Like you want your leaders to be composed. And then Petey, I don't think wants anything to do with it, to be perfectly honest with you. Like he's like, I hate the media. I don't want it. Like Petey's most famous line in Vancouver when he talks to reporters is like, I don't want to create a headline for you guys. He doesn't say anything interesting. And it's like, if you're a captain, sometimes you have to create a headline because you just have to tell the truth.
Mm. We're talking to Jason Brough, co-host of Halford and Brough in Vancouver, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 on Sportsnet 650. So, Brough, can you tell our Sammy McKee that Sam Lafferty is having a horrible season so he could stop crying about the Leafs letting him go?
He's useless. No one wants that guy, right, Brough?
Yeah, no, I'd much rather have Ryan Reeves for sure.
Oh man,
yeah, for sure. No, he was nice because he added something that the Canucks needed, and that was some speed and a little bit of grit up front. You know, we talk a lot, and I'm sure people outside the market talk a lot about you know, Pettersson and Hughes and Miller and all the guys putting up these crazy point totals. And we'll talk about Rick Tocchet. Maybe the biggest improvement has been the bottom six. Like, I don't know if you've heard about this famous third line that the Canucks have. It is incredible. And it is Teddy Bluger with Connor Garland and Dakota Joshua.
Yeah.
And it is an unbelievable line. Like it is, they just go out there and they're always playing in the opponent's end of the ice. When Tocchet needs to kind of, if momentum is going the wrong way, is like get the third line out there and the momentum is stopped. I don't know what it is about putting those three together. You know, Teddy Bluger, who was a healthy scratch for Vegas throughout their Stanley Cup run. Connor Garland, who on like the first day of the season, it came out that he had a trade request to get out of there. And then Dakota Joshua, the guy that Rick Tocchet was absolutely ripping in the preseason and training camp for being out of shape. Somehow these three have come together to formed this incredible line. And it's, and the fourth line too has been good with additions like Sam Lafferty and, Pius Suter. And they've just been, a lot of things are going well for this team right now. They have depth, and that's something they haven't had for a while.
So this is the same Connor Garland the Canucks couldn't give away in the last year and a half. It is quite remarkable.
In the same conversation as Brock Besser, who they couldn't give away either. And all of a sudden it's like, I guess we'll keep him. And he's like, so so you understand how crazy this is to me, right? And it's just, and I think Canucks fans, we're having a great time. It is, don't get me wrong, it's been fun, but in some ways in the back of our mind is like, is everyone playing a trick on us or something?
So if you have to get maybe a top winger that you're talking about, and maybe put him with Miller and Brock Besser and move out a guy like Di Giuseppe, who's I think been a healthy scratch on an occasion. Who and what do you give up to go get something of significance at the trade deadline?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And that's something we're discussing a lot. But again, we're putting the training wheels on the playoff edition talk because we're not used to this sort of stuff. So we're kind of like, what is the going rate? But, there have been names, thrown around, like because of the Pittsburgh connection, we're all watching the Penguins about a guy like Jake Gensel, right? What would be
wow.
But that's just speculation, right? That's just speculation.
No, we love it. That's all we do is speculate on this show.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing.
The speculation and then we
sober up. And then we sober up and we're like, well, actually, maybe about like Frank Vetrano or something like that. But this is the question that the management has to answer. Do they think that this team is a legit cup contender? Because Jake Gensel, let's say he's traded as a rental. If I'm the Penguins, I'm expecting a first-round pick and more. Are you going to give that up if you're the Canucks? And even if you intend to re-sign him, how are you going to do that, right? You got to give Petey a big raise. You got to give Philip Hronik a big raise. It's just the cap is going up a little bit, but let's not act like it's going up $30 million a season or anything like that. It's only going up a little bit.
How's Zadorov been?
He's been
okay. I got it.
No, he's been okay. He's been okay. I like what he brought. I think what he was able to do was, the Canucks had some guys in the lineup where there'd be nights where they had, let's say, both of Noah Juulsen and Akita Hirose in the lineup. And, I think Juulsen has come a long way, but, Hirose's not ready. And he wasn't ready. And when you bring in a guy like Zadorov, you at least know he's an NHL player. I'm still not exactly sure how good he is. Like I always had this rule where, if you look at your defense and you have two pairs that you like, then you've got a good defense, right? And I don't think the Canucks have had that for a while. I know that's not a rocket science rule or anything, but it works. And right now the Canucks have Hughes and Hronik, and you like that pair. But then the second pair is Zadorov and Myers, and those guys can be a little chaotic on the ice. And then the third pair, I quite like if it's Ian Cole and Noah Juulsen. Ian Cole, just like a journeyman, steady defenseman, perfect in that role, who can help a guy like Noah Juulsen, who's still learning the NHL game, although he's not that young. But, that second pair to me, I still don't know about it. And even when Carson Soucy comes back, I don't know about it. Now, Tyler Myers is interesting because if you're able to move him, then that opens up all sorts of cap space where you could address other needs, whether it be up front or even on the back end, or maybe you could do it both. But you also have to be careful about trading away a guy like Tyler Myers because, again, playoff reminder for us that, haven't seen the playoffs for, you need depth on defense. You need defensemen because they get injured. So you got to be really careful about trading away defensemen that you might regret giving away.
Does Soucy bump Juulsen out, or is this what is Soucy coming back to?
Probably Juulsen would be the guy that comes out. And But then you've got kind of a weird mix because Juleson's a righty and Soucy's a lefty. So, Rick Tocchet really likes the lefty-righty combination. They've been quite hesitant to do anything else. So I'll be very curious to see how they do it. They'll definitely have. I will say one thing: they will definitely have a very tall defense once Carson Soucy is back. And I think they like that because Rick Tocchet is all about protecting the middle of the ice. And if you've got a good, you make it really tough for players to get into the middle of the ice and have their slot shots, and you're pretty confident that Petr Demko is going to handle things from the outside.
So I'll have you give your thoughts on the best Canadian teams right now. If you sort the league by points percentage, going around, boy, the Winnipeg Jets right up at the top. The Canucks are up there. The Leafs are doing fairly well, but I mean, the Oilers are hot now. I mean, they're showing their probably their true colors. If we got some real cup contenders in Canada, or what do you think?
Well, we discussed this earlier on our show, and I put it this way. If the Vancouver Canucks won the Stanley Cup, how shocked would you be on a scale of 1 to 10?
Like 10.
And 10.
9.
If the Edmonton Oilers won the Stanley Cup.
Sewn to the carpet. Surprised.
Yeah. But if the Edmonton Oilers won the Stanley Cup, how shocked would you be scale of 1 to 10? Maybe a 6 or a 7?
Yeah, less surprised, I suppose. Good point.
Yeah. And, Winnipeg, I don't know how the Jets are doing it. I think it's really impressive. I mean, they might be the greatest 5-on-5 team in the history of the NHL because their special teams aren't even that good, and they're missing Kyle Connor.
Goalie of the month.
Dubois trade has really worked out for them because I think they've added 2 pretty good forwards in that trade. But I'm not an expert on the Jets. I haven't watched them much. The Canucks haven't played them yet, so I feel bad. We've kind of ignored them a little bit, but what they're doing is pretty impressive. And I think they do have players with playoff experience there. Like, they've learned their lesson. That's the one thing or they have learned lessons in the postseason, I assume. That's the one thing about the Canucks is, like, this group hasn't been to the playoffs together. So they haven't even had that experience of like, oh yeah, you can't do this in the playoffs. I don't count the bubble as a true playoffs because I think a lot of teams didn't really want to be there. The Canucks beat the Wild and then the defending champion St. Louis Blues. And I guarantee the Blues were in that bubble. Like, hey, it was a lot more fun when we were playing in front of like wild crowds and winning the Stanley Cup than it is right now. Let's all go home, Yeah. So there's a real lack of experience when it comes to the playoffs in the core of the Canucks, like in their best players.
Brough, for one more before I let you go here, on occasion on the Real Kyper and Bourne show, we've gotten ourselves in hot water. As you mentioned earlier, you said Petey is in for a big raise. So we're going to play the how big of a raise game because we've done it with William Nylander. And like I said, we've gotten hot water a little bit here and there. So yeah. I'm glad to pass this game on to you, my friend.
Yeah, Kyper, why are you trending on my Twitter?
I want to get you trending right now. How big of a raise for Petey?
I think he'll be 11 or 12 on a shorter term deal, 3 or 4 years, something like that. Yeah. Like I
think he wants to get to UFA?
So he wants the Matthews type of scenario. Right? He won't give it all up, but he wants
the talk right now is that the Canucks would want longer term. But Petey might want to line himself up with Quinn Hughes because Quinn Hughes after this season has 3 years left on his deal and then he's UFA. I don't know if Petey wants to be in a situation where he signs super long term and then Hughes goes to New Jersey or something, and he's like, what kind of team do we have here? Because winning is really important to Petey, and, he's been through a lot in this market. There's a lot of people right now, that look at his point totals and say, yeah, the point totals are great, but there's still something off about his play right now. There's still something that's not quite there. He played a great game yesterday against Ottawa. It might have been his best game of the season or one of the best games of his season, but this is going to be a real interesting situation because none of us really know what Petey's thinking. Like, he's such an introvert and he's so guarded and he's so quiet. We have no idea what he's thinking.
We'll get to work, my friend.
That's impressive in that market.
Hey, that's
Good
not
for
my
him.
job.
Whose job is that? Me?
I'm just a morning show guy. That
Yeah.
jokes.
Jason, awesome stuff. We really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this, man.
All right, see you, boys.
Thanks, buddy.
Jason Brough does a terrific job on the morning show in Vancouver.
I mean, that's great for them that they're just like so blindsided by the success of their team that they're like, this is fun. Having a good time. Did not anticipate this. A lot of good players there. All having a great season at the same time.
I love hearing him say that because that's one of the thoughts I've had forever about them is like there's no fan base. I mean, across sports maybe, that's expectations shifted like they have in 3 months.
You know, I took a lot of heat last year. I would go on their show. I did like a weekly thing with them last year, and I was like, this is a pretty good team. I cannot make sense of why they're bad. This is a pretty good team. And I feel somewhat vindicated by that years long.
But he's got this Cinderella syndrome here. He thinks that, 12 could strike.
Oh, yeah. The pumpkin is still a very real option.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so by the way, when you guys are talking off the top about Gretzky versus the Canucks,
yeah,
how many points in 117 games against the Vancouver Canucks did Wayne Gretzky
I'm going
have?
to
I want to say
it
one.
and then some, so 275.
No. I want to say 212.
239 and 117 against the Canucks.
Okay.
For a plus
I
61.
didn't go over.
No, you're right.
No, yours counts.
375 shots. That's insane. His numbers are amazing. To me, and my favorite thing about his numbers is he played 2 games against the Nashville Predators.
Why do
How many points?
7?
8.
8, yeah.
Why do I think all of those points came off of John Garrett?
Brough's right, though. Gretzky's early years, 212, 196, 205, 208, 215.
Is that why he was at the game last night? Just to remind everybody?
Yeah.
Hang with Nickelback.
Yeah. This McDavid kid's about 3/4 as good as me.
The Florida Panthers did a pretty good job against Gretz.
Yeah.
He had 17 points in 20 games. He was a -4.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Panthers.
The Panthers really had a
record.
He really held him under wraps.
That's impressive.
That's funny.
All right. What do we
Do
want?
you want to do game time?
That's you, man. You're the producer.
Well,
I'm
I'm
just
just wondering. I
a
didn't know-
measly host.
You looked at me like you had
Co-host.
something to say, and then you're like, "What's next?" So
No, it's my
game time.
eyes. They're the
It's
size
game
of
time.
pea holes in the snow right now.
It's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds. Find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 18 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. And it's not like we get a reprieve tonight. I mean, 10:30 and 9 o'clock might as well be a whole day apart. It's a big difference. But we're staying up late again tonight, bud. 9 p.m. So there you go.
Yeah.
Not a lot of action tonight. Devils and Capitals. Last night I went with the 2014 parlay of Ovechkin and Sid to both score, and they both did.
Check.
Don't know if you saw Sid's goal, but he was like lying on his butt when he ended up putting it in the net. It was a very nice goal. I'm going back to the well with Ovi again here. Feel like it's starting to kind of turn a bit, unfortunately, for my likings of Gretzky holding that record. I'm going with a Ovechkin goal again tonight to keep him hot at plus 135.
And what?
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say Max Pacioretty is in for the Washington Capitals tonight.
I just wanted to ask you quickly, coming off of Bruffer's comment earlier about the thought of Quinn Hughes waiting it out to go to New Jersey. Is that like
the Hughes kids are going to play together?
Who doesn't think that that's not going to happen?
It's definitely happening.
I would never say that about my good friends in Vancouver. He's going to play for the Canucks his whole life.
But the only question is, will it happen while they're in their prime, or will it be the end of career? Fine, they do it. Well, I don't know where they're from, but they find a way to play together at some point. There's no guarantee it's going to be anytime soon, but they'll find a way at some point. Maybe it'll be in Vancouver. That's how we'll spin that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice marketing chip for the league.
Wouldn't it? That would be fun to watch.
And
there's
there's
talent.
obviously not a ton of value with the Leafs going into Anaheim tonight, but the way Austin Matthews started the game last night and the way he looked in those first few shifts, if he does that again against Anaheim, I like his chances to score a goal. So the Leafs to win the game and Austin Matthews to score the first goal of the game is plus 625. So
just such a high number.
a little value. Yeah.
I like
And he was buzzing in the first few shifts last night and he could have scored easily. So I like that one tonight because there's not a ton of value with the Leafs playing the crappy old Ducks. I mean, you could bet on the Ducks, but that probably wouldn't be the best bet.
Right.
Unless the Leafs do what they always do. So maybe it is a good bet. Anyways, that was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Check.
I just got a text on the text line that was really good. Only the New York Jets' expectations changed as fast as ours did. Theirs took 4 plays to change.
Yeah.
That's from Vancouver.
Ouch.
Yeah.
We're going to go to break. We're going to get some news and notes, but just one more thing off of Vancouver last night against the Ottawa Senators.
Oh, my God.
Like, there's some people that thought the Ottawa Senators could get to a conference final this year. They believed in this team more than just a team that could contend for a playoff spot.
Pinto out of the gates.
Like, what is happening here? How do you go down, 2 field goals in the 22 minutes?
It's not pretty.
I don't know.
Like,
It's like you
it
already
was a
hired
field
the
goal in the-
coaching consultant.
Field goal in the safety. They went down 5.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. And then-
Yeah, it's he mentioned the way they're playing right now. I don't know if it wasn't going well with DJ, and then now you're trying to change horses mid-race, and like some of the systems
They're
are
not responding to Jacques.
well.
They're not.
Yeah, or maybe it's just like that transition time while they figure out how to play the way he wants to play. I don't know. Do you think they'll hire another coach this year?
I think there's too much in the season to just let this
Kip, they've
go for
barely
another
played.
40-plus
You're right.
games.
They've played.
Yes, I
Like
do
30
think that
hockey
they
games or something.
really
33.
need
Yeah.
to think long and hard, and I don't know who their choice would be, but Craig Berube will not be out there that long. I don't know what that means, but I don't think that they could wait to the offseason to make a decision that now we want to go to Craig Berube. Don't risk losing Craig Berube to somebody else if you think that this guy is what your younger players need to be held accountable.
God, you just look at Vancouver, right? And the success that they had when someone who came in who was a little bit hard-nosed and can push guys. Look at the success they had.
But they did it late, right? Last year, remember how long they let poor Bruce twist in the wind?
Yeah.
And then they finally...
It was too late,
Yeah.
which is the point about Ottawa, I think. And God, that's really tough, though, to, for Andlauer to make the decision to or Steos or whatever, to have Jacques Martin take over the team, then like 6 games later be like, all right, we got to do it again.
Don't care. Just
Roubaix Canadian, right? He's Canadian.
Yes.
From Alberta. That helps. Come coaching Canada. Rare opportunity. Team is new energy.
Listen.
Lots of good young players.
I mean,
There's definitely worse jobs in the
That's a
South.
lineup
Yes.
that you'd want to think that can compete in 2 years
you
or
could be
3
with them
years.
for 7 years, 8 years,
Yeah.
right? Like as they
But they're
develop and
gonna-
grow and compete
They'll need to buck up for
to get Berube.
yes. And again, if you spend a lot of money just buying the team, I don't know how interested they are in going and spending or committing. I don't know what it would take. 10, 12, 14 million dollars, 15 million dollars,
What's that over?
3 years, 4
That much,
years.
you think?
Ruby's a Stanley Cup champion coach. You got coaches that have not won the Stanley Cup making $5 million now.
I just feel like you can't take over an NHL team and be like, I'm looking for the coupons here. Like this is, you need to get the best people to win games, to fill the seats, to compete, to get in the playoffs. Buying the discount version of the guy you want for $1 million less.
But it's hard. Yeah, I mean, you're still paying
It's real money.
Pierre Dorian. You're paying DJ to stay at home. You named Steos your permanent
Paying
general manager,
Pull in now.
but you didn't. I don't think you had to pay Steos more money to be
To
the general
continue
manager.
doing the job.
Yeah. So, and Dave Poulin wouldn't have cost a ton of money to get pulled off of network television.
You don't think network television pays a lot? Just asking. Yes, I see
I know
your
you
point.
used to.
Yes, fair enough. Sounds like I missed that boat.
But so I don't know. I mean, what do you, if you're the Ottawa Senators, like, you just watched Edmonton also. You used Vancouver as an example. You watched Edmonton bring in a guy that, I mean, you can't argue it with the results that you're getting from the Edmonton Oilers right now, that if it means a new voice, a fresher one that can find different ways to push a button, Ottawa has to consider that now.
Yeah, Ottawa is definitely a team to keep
But that was
eyes on.
embarrassing last night for them.
Yeah, not great, right? And then you're 8 games away from Pinto coming back. You know, if you can kind of have like a fresh start, if they can go on a bit of a run, get a new coach, get a third line center.
The goal on what goal was that? Number 6?
Well, they were down 5-0.
Yeah.
And they fight back to make it 5-3.
Yeah.
And then off the ensuing faceoff, they win it back. Horrible turnover, which is, it's an awful turnover. And Suter's just dumping it in to go off and change. And it just takes a right turn off the last bounce and goes into the net.
It's just when things go wrong, man, when it rains, it pours.
I mean, comes back to hockey, it could be called goaltending. And it's like they got no saves all year. And they're got a lot of good players. They're just not ready, I guess. They need a good goalie. They need a new coach. I don't know. And I had so many
sense. He took over this team like in a good spot. And I'm like, what is going on here?
I know.
What has happened?
He's the meme where he walks in with the pizzas and all the fires happening. That's it. That's what's happening.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to discuss Jason Zucker. He's got a hearing for a boarding incident on Nick Cousins after a questionable hit. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about this because yesterday you guys took me down a path with Ryan Hartman on
you got to
Cole
apologize
Perfetti,
for that.
And
No, you do.
No. I just went along with what you said.
Are the Jets people mad?
Yeah.
Oh, I avoided that. Nice.
Well, in fairness, they provided a lot of context, and it was pretty bad.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Don't miss it after the break. We'll get into that. Plus Zucker's hearing after the break. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. We are a real Kyper and Bourne. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. So tomorrow night you'll reveal the names of the first 32 players participating in the All-Star Weekend here in Toronto, and of course we're going to be a big part of it. I think the three of us will be doing a show from under the Gardner Expressway.
Yes, they're going to put us under the garbage truck route
down at the ferry terminal at the Queen's Key.
There's one crack in the Gardner where like the rain, it just like looks like Niagara Falls coming off of it.
That's where we're going to be.
Our table will be right underneath it.
We're going to be interviewing equipment managers from the incoming teams. Stay tuned. For the record, I have no idea what we're doing yet.
I mean,
people hate. Well, maybe hate's a strong word. Dislike that every player gets repped.
I do.
What do you mean? Every team.
Every team gets repped. Every
yes.
Every
because I
team
want
gets
the
repped.
league's all-stars, not this weird division of World Cup.
Past that, aren't we? Like just.
Well, the meaning of being an X-time all-star is entirely devalued. It doesn't mean anything anymore. There's World Cups and Olympics, and
it used to be a big deal saying he's an all-star.
And you would take that into contracts, like I'm an X-time all-star or whatever. And now it's just
it's like, well, you shot the guy out of the what's it called, where the guy fell in the water. What was it called? What are those things called? Where you? Oh, okay.
Shot the guy out of the thing that fell in the water.
No, like the
dunk
tank. Thank you, General Nick. Dunk tank.
How do you pick somebody from Columbus? Right.
I don't know.
It's hard.
Was that a leading scorer have?
To me, it's a very easy thing to do. You'll look at the team if you're picking and you say, that guy is young and skilled and good. And we would like to feature him. For example, Adam Fantilli, a guy who's really young, got a ton of skill. He's a rookie. Like you want those kind of guys there. Take him there. That would be my vote.
I think they should name the cannon.
The cannon.
I
think you should earn
wheel out the cannon.
You're not. This isn't a hypothetical all-star tournament.
Tell you who I'm not taking. Johnny Gaudreau.
Their leading scorer.
Is he?
Yes.
Well, by default.
He has 25 points in 39 games, minus 18.
But for Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, you could
Miller,
vote
Hughes,
in.
Pettersson, Besser,
Fans will be able to vote in. So
Demko.
that's where you get your hopefully your supporting cast players around your star.
I'm sure it being where it is in Toronto and Vancouver's fan base, where a lot of these guys will get in.
Okay.
Deserving players.
So before we go to Zucker and a hearing on a big hit on Nick Cousins, just to kind of
mea culpa here,
talk a little bit more about the heat that we took for being classless. What was not that I read a lot of social media, but people were not happy when we
said that
gave Hartman a bit of a green light to go after a guy like Cole Perfetti.
Well, I would say that over the course of the years in this show, you have said, why doesn't that happen more, where you go to the other team's best player and say, if our guy gets greased again, it's you, just so you know.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of what I had in my mind. God, I looked at the Dylan on Kaprizov cross-checks that they were all mad about. I mean, they're like controlling little baby cross-checks. It's a nothing play. And then there were follow-up retribution moments. So I'm going to go ahead and say a bit excessive from Ryan Hartman.
Still, still love it.
Yeah.
I like the concept still. But this was just it wasn't
Ryan
deserving here.
Ryan Hartman's a grease bag. He does greasy things. He was mad about his best player being hurt, and he hit a guy in the face. It's hockey.
Like, to me,
Agree with that.
To me, this just is the beginning of the story.
Yes.
And it doesn't end there. It's just the start of it. So no, I don't expect Cole Perfetti now to fight back, but I expect someone on Winnipeg to go after Ryan Hartman and say, now you get to answer for that.
And he will. It's February 20th. They're already looking at it.
There's Adam Lowry right there, pal. And, do the right thing now.
Yeah.
Don't go run and hide.
So I see. This is fun though. That this is the part where I'm like, I like this. I like that there's animosity. There's a game on the schedule I'm looking forward to watching.
Yes.
That's good stuff.
God forbid.
Oh, I know. It's great.
Oh,
this is
the lead up to a game where people might be mad at each other.
I know.
We're allowed to do that.
So
still?
in isolation, the Hartman thing and Perfetti, it's kind of stupid. Definitely unnecessary. I like what it says about the NHL.
Yeah. Respond. How do you respond now?
And I think
as a
Gartner,
team?
Mike Gartner comes on our show and says there's just not enough, animosity, personal emotions involved in all the games. So from that level, makes for good viewing.
Which takes us to Jason Zucker.
Oh my God.
Who has a hearing for boarding Nick Cousins after another
Okay.
questionable hit on Valimaki. So here is Nick Cousins. And you've been watching Nick Cousins piss off a lot of people in the last little while. And Zucker just says, okay, I've had enough. I've had enough. And he goes and he slams them. Like, what does Nick Cousins expect after that hit? That he gets to just relax and what? Roll up a lawn chair?
He had the exact same reaction after he did the horrible hit, the worst hit to Gabranson. Last night's was bad too, where he takes a shot at the guy's head. It's obviously a dirty hit, but he just stands there like he's immune from, being retribution against him. And Zucker destroys him from behind. Like, it's a rotten play.
It's a rotten play.
But like,
that will be suspended.
For sure, he'll get suspended. But,
one game.
But Cousins they got to do something about him. Like that hit it's a finable hit. What he did to Valimaki, it's not maybe suspendable, but it's close.
You also lose the benefit of the doubt after enough whoopsies.
You're just going to keep protecting Cousins and letting guys bury him and get suspended for the retribution as opposed to the act that makes it happen. And it's like,
listen,
they're a greasy team.
The league has to protect against those type of hits. That's why he's going to be suspended one game. But this is the way it should work. You want to go run around, be a dirtbag, make these bad hits. Someone's going to knock your block off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And if he gets suspended one game, so what?
So this is
a
the
good
same theme.
1 game suspension.
Mid-season.
And the bigger picture should be don't hit because someone's going to come after you.
Yeah. When I talk to a lot of people in the U.S. and, spend a lot of time there in the offseason, all of that, people who love hockey, one of the foremost things they talk about is fighting and physicality. They love that element. That's like a draw. The way that, people love fighting in the UFC, people love, contact in football, people love that element of our sport. And, we have a choice as a league where we can say people love this, they want to watch it, and players play it. Or we can say we want to go the IIHF way and, do no hits to the head and try to eliminate it all. We kind of have to pick a way here. You can't try to be safe.
The league's picked away.
They have picked away.
They've picked
where that's
away
going.
already.
They've
It's
made a
done.
choice.
What the problem is there's a lot of people that don't
agree with the
agree
decision.
with it and accept it.
Yeah. I just know talking to my dad and their friends and they still love that element of the game and prize it. And it certainly was a huge part of it. And I think it's important to keep the interest in hockey, that there is a physical component.
One way or another, Nick Cousins is going to have to answer for those type of hits.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer him dropping his gloves and battling it out. But if he wants to go this way moving forward, just be prepared, my friend.
Yeah.
Because there's more Zuckers out there that will get you.
Yeah.
And he saw the numbers. He took a shot.
He made a decision.
Yeah,
that's one of the clearest hits from behind where a guy made a choice.
He's like,
he's gonna
rock
wear this one.
guy.
Yeah.
And then good on Zucker. Forsling comes in there, and Zucker's not usually a fighter. He drops the gloves, gives a spirited go with him. He's going to get suspended. But I'll tell you right now, you know who he has the respect of? All fans in the league.
Teammates,
other
Coyotes
teammates,
fans,
all the people in the league. Like Branson probably called Zucker. Was like, hey, man,
thanks, pal.
Great job. Right? It's just at some point your reputation.
Yeah.
When did the Florida Panthers become one of the most hated teams in the league?
I mean, if you're a Panthers manager, GM, coach, you love it.
Big picture outside of that incident.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of fun.
Can I tell you something right now? This is a quiet little secret that no one was listening. If you offered me roster trade Leafs for Panthers right now, done.
Really?
Done. Yeah, I'd take the trade right away.
Yeah.
You're losing your Matthews and your Marners and your
I am.
Willie Nylanders.
But I'm telling you right now, if that was the team here, they would be on Legends Row immediately. They'd be the most popular team in league in team history. The way that they play, the way that they look. If they were in blue and white, they'd be the most popular.
Give me the Cats.
They're like the Pistons.
The
NBA.
old Pistons.
The old
Yeah,
Pistons.
Not the
documentary
Pistons
worthy.
now.
No, not the Pistons now. Remember how, you ever watch those documentaries?
Oh, yeah.
They were,
They're vicious.
Ben Wallace era?
Billy Lambier would just be
Lambier.
hammering guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
But yes,
that's
that
my
is
dirty
Florida.
little secret that I didn't want anyone to hear. So hopefully no one's
No one
listening.
did. It's good.
All right. Can I go home to bed now?
Listen.
No, we got 2 games to watch
9
tonight.
p.m.
New Jersey and Washington, and on the network, National, Toronto Maple Leafs and Anaheim, 9 p.m. Eastern.
We see the Hildebeest? Yes,
Did
no.
we have an
Any
answer
word
yet?
yet?
No, nothing. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's Jones.
Did they announce Jones already?
No, that's going to be. I'm announcing.
No. It's Sheldon Keefe's style to kind of keep it a secret. I think that's why it's not out. It's because it's the kid.
Jones.
All right, enjoy your games tonight. Our thanks to Jason
Jason Brough.
Brough.
Gotta go.